The new chapter of the Shadow manga is here, and unfortunately, it looks like this is going to be the final chapter. Yeah, I did say last time that I thought there was going to be 2 more chapters, but it looks like that's not the case. I feel bad about getting this wrong, but it looks like I'm not the only one who was confused by this because the Sonic Wiki had a page for Chapter 7, which they've now since deleted. I think the confusion comes from the fact that despite this issue of Kodo Comics being released February 15th, 2025, it is called the March 2025 issue, so it is still technically ending in March. Yuki Yamada also confirmed on Twitter that this is the last chapter, but he did say he enjoyed writing Shadow and the other characters and wanted to do more with them. From the translation I'm reading from, it does urge us to check out whatever Yamada works on next. Neither that nor the tweet confirm he'll get to do more Sonic stuff, but as I've said before, I hope that he does. Also, it says that there will be a compiled edition released of the manga as well, so that's honestly the best chance this has at a US release. With all that out of the way, let's get into this chapter. Again, spoilers ahead and link to how you can support the manga in the description. Our chapter begins, not where we left off, but with a glimpse at Shadow and Maria's first meeting. It kind of fits in nicely with where the cutscene in the game leaves off too, so I really like this bit. And as far as I'm concerned, this is exactly how their first meeting went. We then get back to where we left off, with Shadow staring down Doom while holding Maria. Doom tries to attack the duo, but Shadow effortlessly avoids his attacks and even manages to redirect one back at him. Shadow sets Maria down and then is about to confront Doom once more until Doom begins to speak, where he reveals that the white space is held together by his power, and if he's defeated, it will fall apart and return to the present day. He makes Shadow an offer. If Shadow lets himself be absorbed by Doom, Maria will get to continue to live on in the white space. But if he doesn't take the offer and defeats him, Maria's fate will remain unchanged. Maria is confused by this, and Doom remembers that Shadow was keeping what happened to her a secret. As Doom taunts Shadow by threatening to reveal the truth, Maria figures it out. In fact, she sort of suspected it the whole time. She implores Shadow to save himself and the Earth instead of her. She says she hates the idea of him being absorbed and talks about how much she loves the Earth. All the times they'd fantasize of what they'd do on Earth together, and that as long as he keeps her in his heart, she won't really die. Also that it's not like living in the empty void of the white space would be really living anyway. Shadow moves to confront Doom, but he's still conflicted, still desperately trying to think of a way to protect Maria. And because of this, Doom almost defeats him. But before he can be absorbed, he realizes the true meaning of everything Maria said to him, giving him the strength to break free and take down Doom. Black Doom makes one more attempt to convince Shadow, saying that he'd be protecting the humans that ruined his life, and that defeating him will cause Maria to disappear. But Shadow is not dissuaded. As he beats down Doom, we get some more flashes to Shadow and Maria's past, including another part of their first meeting, a reference to the Shadow not doing his homework bit, a memory of him being there for a sick Maria, and a view of a birthday party for Shadow, which I was a little surprised to see. As Shadow lands the final hit on Doom, Maria's words that she will live on in his heart echo through his mind. When Shadow returns to her, he finds that she's already disappearing. Before she does though, she says that she won't say goodbye, but that she thinks Shadow would look great with a smile. Shadow, pushing his emotional anguish aside, gives her a smile before she disappears from his life once more, leaving him alone in the void. Much later, Shadow has continued living his life, traveling the world and beating up Eggman. He wonders if Maria would still love the planet today as she did then, but even though he'll never get a real answer to that, he continues to live on with both the name she gave him and her wish in his heart. I really love this manga. It breaks my heart a little bit knowing it's over. Overall, while it is a sort of remix of Shadow Generation's story, I think what Amada does with it is really solid. Just in this chapter alone, I think moving Shadow's smile from before the Black Doom fight to after creates an entirely different emotional meaning. Like, the game's moment is very sweet, and I do love that scene a lot, but a visibly haggard Shadow putting on a brave face for Maria is just this emotional punch to the gut that I was not ready for. I also really like how Maria's handled here. I've talked about before that I'm a big fan of how Sonic X handles Maria, that she's more than just a character who something bad happened to. They very deliberately give her agency, in that she knows what the consequences for her actions will be, and she does them anyway because she knows it's right. That's very much what's on display here. While I do think the ending of Shadow Generations is fantastic and hits all the right emotional beats, I really like Maria knowing what her fate is going to be and accepting it, knowing it will save others in the long run. It also adds a little bit more complexity to a character who, for all intents and purposes, will always be more tied to Shadow's backstory than the current ongoing narrative. If I may just gush over this chapter for a moment, I really like the flashbacks and fantasy bits. They're very cute. Sega could release a whole slice of life aboard the Ark thing, and I would be obsessed with it. As a whole, I think the series opens really strong and ends really strong. I still think the middle is good, but it isn't where I think the super interesting stuff is. But this ended up being a fantastic comic. I'm not sure where I'd rank it among my other favorites. If the compiled edition gets a US release, I'll definitely be giving it a reread, and I'll have more definitive opinions then. And again, I'm hoping Amada gets more work on the Sonic franchise in the future, or at least gets more attention brought to some of his other works. Thank you so much for watching. I want to thank all my patrons and give a special shout out to my $5 patrons, Ned Rex, NateDM990, Diddly Do, and Queer Kaiju. See y'all in the next video.